Hello, good evening, and welcome to Joy News Prime. We're coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomeme in Accra. We are live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV 125, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. I am Carlos Kaloni.
And I am Faustina. So for tonight, Supreme Court under fire from minority MPs as they question the court's decision to squash 5-year-old arrest warrant for social media commentator Kevin Taylor, convicted in absentia for contempt of court.
Also tonight, the governing NDC seizes full control of Parliament with a commanding two-thirds majority. We'll find out what that will mean for Ghana's democracy.
Also tonight, Minority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin kicked off Ghana's delegation to Ecowas Parliament. We have details as Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak says if the Minority Leader defies Parliament and presents himself to Ecowas Parliament, he must be stripped of all other entitlement as a leader.
Remember, Joy News is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism.
It's a good time to take a seat and please be our guest.
Well, tonight, minority MPs are sounding alarms tonight over what they allege are sweeping breaches of legal protocols in the case of outspoken social media commentator Kevin Taylor. The Supreme Court delivered a striking verdict today, overturning a 2020 bench warrant for Taylor's arrest, with a High Court emphasizing a glaring lack of due process. In a 4-1 majority decision, a 5-member panel led by Justice Imoro Isifutanku ruled that the warrant issued by Justice Eric Che Bafo trampled on Taylor's fundamental right to be heard. Now, the court upheld an urgent secretarial application by Taylor's legal team affirming that the warrant was improperly issued without affording Taylor his day in court. Now, lawyer for Peter Okujeto told Elton Broby on pause that the Joy News channel this evening that's overly uplifted.
So what we are saying is that you could summon the person, but you first have to summon the person, and then you ask him to put up his defense. And if his defense is not proper, then you convict him. But in this case, they convicted him long before the facts arrived. So in other words, the judge put the cart before the horse.
How does he feel now, knowing very well that the arrest warrant is off his head?
It's psychologically uplifting, and he's happy to be free.
That was a lawyer for, Taylor.
Well, still on this subject, the decision has been criticized sharply by some minority MPs. Isaac Bwamayako, NPP MP for Ifia, says the non-arrest of Kevin Taylor prior to the Supreme Court's hearing clearly shows an abuse of power by the NDC government.
That clearly shows you the abuse of power, the abuse of our judicial processes, the lack of respect for the laws of this country. How on earth would an individual with such a warrant of the court pending on him be able to come to the jurisdiction, not get arrested, is able to file an application before the Supreme Court, enter the premises of the Supreme Court, not get arrested, and the matter be even heard by the Supreme Court? This is someone who made such scandalous accusations against the judiciary itself, against a judge who was sitting additionally as a High Court judge in a matter, and brought the reputation of the judiciary into disrepute. And properly so, the court had issued a bench warrant for his arrest. And the person had the ability to enter into this jurisdiction, was not arrested. He had the opportunity to file an application on the 2nd of July, and the court on this day have quashed the bench warrant that was issued on him. I find this as interesting times. That does not befit the democratic dispensation that we find ourselves. And so for now, it appears as if the country does not respect its own laws.
Well, at yesterday's accountability series, the defense minister, who plays a key role in the national security architecture, was asked directly about allegations that the government is shielding Kevin Taylor and housing him at the vice president's residence. In response, the defense minister distanced himself from the claims, stating clearly that he is not a defense minister. He is a defense minister and not an immigration officer.
Taylor in the country. Unfortunately, I'm not an immigration officer. and so, I mean, how do you expect, I mean, I'm not an immigration officer. I mean, for those who are interested in that, let me advise, the Freedom of Information Act, take necessary steps, find out from immigration, unless the person did not come through lawful borders. So some of these things causing the national discourse.
Well, Reverend John Ntim-Forjo is the ranking member, Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Interior, and he joins us live on Zoom. First of all, what is your own reading around this whole issue concerning Kevin Taylor?
Yeah, thank you, Carlos. The court has ruled, and I don't have any comments on the ruling of the court. But my problem is that we have had this bench warrant, which had been in force up until today when the Supreme Court gave a ruling to quash it. So until this day, it had been in effect for the past 5 years. And so the gentleman in question arrives in the country and is escorted by national security through Gate 19, VVIP. We have all the details. And then further to that, he receives military escort, military protection, all the way to the vice presidential official residence up until today when he goes to court. Now, the question some ministers are trying to distance themselves from his arrival into the country and his protection, the state protection he received, and asking urgent that, RTI should be filed or immigration officers should be questioned on that. What about the military protection they received? At a time when all of us have decided as stakeholders that let's allow the police to offer protection to civilians. We had a civilian who had a bench warrant issued against him on arriving, and instead of the security agencies to assist the court, effecting his arrest, as soon as the manifest popped up his name on the flight, the United Airlines flight that arrived abroad in the country July 5th, instead of them to signal for the relevant security agencies to arrest him and present him before the court and for the bench warrant to be executed, they rather, organized to protect him. Soldiers protected him, offered him serious protection. When some of us
Reverend,
out, they were quickly reassigned. Some were even sacked. And so if we are talking about a time when you are withdrawing military protection from high-profile personalities of the state, i.e. chairperson and deputies of the Electoral Commission, which call I have not disagreed, you do not come to give military protection to a person, an individual, evading a bench warrant, and to say that we should go to an immigration officer to ask for information. So see clearly, it is a state architecture, and the state has willfully aided this gentleman who has insulted every important person in this country, including Otumfuo. All the important clergymen in this country have been bastardized by this same gentleman. Every stalwart, former president, all important persons have been very derogatory comments have been passed about them, including the judiciary. And so, whereas I reserve comments on the ruling passed today, I say that we must respect the court, and state institutions and apparatus ought to be deployed in support of the court and not to assist any individual to evade court bench warrants. And it's regrettable, it is disappointing, and we leave that judgment to the larger Ghanaian population. If these are the kind of things happening which have never been seen before, now a fugitive of law, a bench warrant on his head for 5 years, arrives in the country, given a VVIP treatment as though he's an ex-president or a UN top diplomat, and that goes to embolden the youth out there whose enterprise now on various constituencies, regions, on various social media, X and other platforms and WhatsApp platforms are emboldened by political actors to take, stalwart statesmen to the cleaners and pass all kinds of derogatory comments at them.
I think, Reverend, that point has been made. But before I let you go,
make an enterprise out of that.
These are allegations you're making that the state actually protected this gentleman. Do you have evidence to support these claims? So
how did Kevin Taylor? He flew straight from Togo and landed straight at the Supreme Court premises. Is that how he arrived in the country?
The question really is, have you making these allegations, do you have evidence to support what you're saying?
That's definitely not the case. So he arrived. And when he arrived, the manifest popped up. National Security has that. And when they had it, what were they supposed to do as a law enforcement agency? Now, when he arrived at the airport, has there been anyone disputing the fact that he was taken through the VVIP? There are cameras at the VVIP. There are people working at VVIP. There are people who were on the flight. It wasn't a chartered flight for just one individual. And so if there's any evidence one is asking for, the evidence abounds. He didn't come on a single flight. It wasn't a private jet that brought him. He came on a commercial flight, a full flight. He came, and when he went through VVIP, he wasn't the only one on the VVIP. He wasn't the only one picked up on a tarmac. And when he was gathered by the soldiers wasn't just one soldier. There were many soldiers. So please, the national security operatives, most of those assigned to this operation are not even happy about it. And so if we are bringing some of these things to the fore, it is concerning. I'm not so much into the ruling of the court. I respect the ruling of the court. Much as I respect the bench warrants issued by the court, I also respect the Supreme Court ruling. But I am saying, in between, the state failed.
Okay, thank you. I think that point is well made, and we'll have to leave it here.
Well, let's head now to Parliament, where the Majority Leader, Mahama Cares, says the NDC will use its overwhelming majority in Parliament to advance Ghana's democracy and will not abuse the electorate's trust. The NDC today cemented its two-thirds majority following the swearing-in of MP for Ablekuma North Irabna Obeng, which was marked with a dramatic walkout by the NPP minority. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante reports.
It's taken 7 months, and finally Ablekuma North is represented in Parliament. For the last 7 months, it's been a battle, legal and political, with the Electoral Commission in the middle of it, where the NPP fighting the Electoral Commission and asking them to declare their candidate as winner. The Electoral Commission stood its ground for some time, but at some point it buckled and decided to do a rerun in 19 polling stations in Ablekuma North. It did hold the election, and the NDC's Irabna Obeng came out victorious. And so, after 7 months, their Member of Parliament walked into Parliament. But before she would take her oath of office, the minority did raise some objections and wanted to be heard.
We in the minority want to make a comment, a quick comment, before the member-elect is sworn in. And I seek your indulgence to do this quickly.
Are there legal objections that he intends to raise? What is that? And I don't think that we even want to hear what it is now. We are happy to hear it after the process is consummated. If he could not arrest anything at the Electoral Commission and could not arrest it at the police station, it is not here this morning that he's going to be able to arrest anything.
Before she would take her oath of office, the minority did raise some objections and wanted to be heard. Well, after the Speaker decided he wasn't going to grant them any hearing until after the oath of office had been taken, they decided to walk out.
If that is the turn of event, then we in the minority, for the records, cannot be part of the swearing-in. Yes, we cannot be part of the swearing-in. So we are working on it. And this one is very specific to the swearing-in. Other businesses will engage in it.
Despite this walkout, the swearing-in took place.
I, Obin Arabina,
having been elected a member of Parliament,
having been elected a member of Parliament,
do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
Do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
With the NDC now having 2/3 majority in Parliament, even without requiring the independent MPs to form this, Majority Leader Mahama Cares says they will not abuse these numbers.
The National Democratic Congress now, for the first time in a very long time, has 2/3 of this House. Mr. Speaker, with this number, we can do many good things for this country. We can carry out significant constitutional reforms to make this country better. Ghanaians today have given us all the numbers that we need to reset Ghana. I want to assure Ghanaians that what President John Dramani Mahama said when he was being sworn in still stands, that the National Democratic Congress will not abuse the majority given to it by Ghanaians. We will use it wisely.
Despite the swearing-in of Arabina being as the latest member of Parliament, Parliament is still not set. It would have been set, but for the passing of the Member of Parliament for Akutia, which will mean a by-election again on the horizon for a new Member of Parliament to take his or her seat in the Chamber of Parliament. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Let's stay a bit longer in Parliament because Minority Leader Afenyo-Markin has been kicked off Ghana's delegation to Ecowas Parliament, despite the minority presenting him as part of the delegation. Now, Afenyo-Markin is currently the third deputy speaker at ECOWAS, but leaders of the caucuses have traditionally never been part of Ghana's delegation to ECOWAS Parliament or the Pan-African Parliament. Instead, the deputy, minority, and majority leaders have led the delegation. Now, Majority Leader Mahama Cares amended the list of MPs to be presented to the sub-regional court on the floor and removed the minority leader, replacing him with Deputy Patricia Apiaje.
The deputy leaders as members of the delegation, that has always been the tradition. The deputy leaders always go to the ECOWAS Parliament. Mr. Speaker, this side is sending Honorable George Kweku Hagan in his capacity as a deputy leader. Mr. Speaker, the minority side also has a deputy leader, and that deputy leader is Honorable Patricia Apiaje. Mr. Speaker, she is the deputy leader, and this House cannot deny her the opportunity to go to ECOWAS Parliament in her capacity as a deputy leader. When it comes to moving Resolution 19 of this House, the Resolution 19, I shall move pursuant to our standing orders for the amendment of the composition of the delegation so that Honorable Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin Osahene is removed and Honorable Patricia Apiaje is replaced as the member of the delegation that will be representing this Parliament at the ECOWAS Parliament.
But the former Defense Minister, Dominic Intibu, fiercely objected to this.
I will urge leadership to hold on to this motion, go back behind the scenes, resolve whatever differences you have, and bring the motion back to us. Yes. Mr. Speaker, we are not going to ECOWAS or Pan-African Parliament as NDC majority or minority. We are going as Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Our side, at least, should be given the right to choose who will go. If our attention has been drawn to an obvious fact, and leaders sit behind the scene, they should be able to resolve this matter. But you say that you come to Parliament and say that Parliament should vote for the first time, you are going to set a precedent that tomorrow you will not be able to take. Because it is possible that tomorrow you can come and bring names, and because somebody has majority, he will move the motion and remove every one of them and change for you.
Meanwhile, Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak is proposing punitive punishment if Afenyo-Markin does the same thing.
But you see, we are capitalizing on our knowledge of the Ecowas and Pan-African Parliament to make it difficult for this House. Because in the case of Ecowas Parliament, if a member is elected, even if his parliament doesn't send him, and he still insists he wants to be a member, the Ecowas Parliament will support him. And we have a clear example. When a former whip in this House, our colleague opposite, decided to defy leadership. And when he went there, interestingly, the minority leader today, who is taking an interim position, was the one who was disadvantaged. And I thought that if for nothing, he should learn from that. He should learn from that history. That being and taking an interim position will come and hand to you one day. This House, if it becomes necessary, we may have to vote and support you. If the minority leader insists he wants to go to ECOWAS, he must be stripped of all the other privileges that the minority leader are supposed to do. We are talking about what do you call it, IPU. We are talking about CPA. We are talking about, because you see, it is because of those privileges. It is because of those privileges that those leaders don't serve on this.
Well, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbing, has been offering direction on the matter.
Defies the decision of the House and goes there to see his right to stand. And I can assure you that will be no problem for me. I've been leader for many years. I have never accepted to a member of Ecowas Parliament or Pan-African Parliament. For the good reason that as a leader, you must create opportunities for your followers. And I did. And many of our members here have benefited from that. And so I will accept the amendment and urge you to vote according to that amendment, that the composition of Ghana's delegation to the Community Parliament of ECOWAS be made of the following. Honorable George Kweku Ricketts Hagan, leader. Honorable Emmanuel Kwesi Bejira, member. Honorable Ladi Ayi Ayamba, member. Honorable Eric Affle, member. Honorable Dominic Napari, member. Honorable Patricia Apieje, member. Honorable Kwame Anyimedu Entry, member. Honorable Brian Achampong, member. And Honorable Millicent Yeboah Amankwa, observer.
Well, tonight, Parliament has given the government another boost in the fulfillment of its 2024 campaign promises after passing the Ghana Medical Trust Fund Bill, also known as the Mahama Cares. Before that, the minority and majority MPs are split hairs over the legislation, which was presented to Parliament for its first reading just 24 hours ago. Now, the government successfully got Parliament to consider the bill, which seeks to provide financial assistance to individuals living with chronic diseases across the country, despite strong opposition by the minority. Now, former Lands Minister Samuel Abujanapo says the Mahama Cares is a duplication of effort. Kweku has more details. Now, he joins us more on this. Kweku, what details do you have as of now?
Well, according to the former Lands Minister, who is MP for Damongo, ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee, the NHIS is properly capacitated to do this job, and that instead of creating another body to actually perform this same function that ordinarily would have been performed by the NHIS simply means a duplication of efforts. We did get a very strong response from the Minister of Health, Kwabena Mintakando, who did insist that the functions of the Mahama Care Fund is simply not the same as NHIS, and in fact, what the Mahama Cares Fund is going to do is to take care of responsibilities that have to do with NCDs, non-communicable diseases, dialysis, and other things that are ordinarily not taken care of by the National Health Insurance Fund. And that is what is going to be done. Ultimately, this law has now been passed. In fact, the bill has been passed now. It will head to the desk of the president to sign. We expect that could be done by the end of this week. This is a major boost, like he did say at the top of the show. The government did promise this in the lead up to the 2024 election. The Mahama Care was a central plank of their health manifesto, and they have done that through Parliament now. Although the minority did raise a lot of issues about what they said was the railroading this through Parliament. But ultimately, it has been passed. It was brought to Parliament just yesterday, and 24 hours later, it is set to go to the president's desk for signature. All right. Thank you so much, Kweku. We appreciate it.
You're still watching Joy News Prime. Carlos and myself will be back after this quick turn.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us.
To other stories now, the demolition of unauthorized structures at the Sakumono Ramsar site resumed today, 2 months after the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council first began the exercise to clear buildings illegally constructed in waterlogged areas. But unlike the previous exercise, the second phase of the demolition was met with fierce resistance from residents in the area who accused authorities of illegally demolishing their buildings, which they claim are not in waterlogged areas. The residents, many of whom had red armbands and scarves, urged President Mahama to call the authorities spearheading the exercise to order.
We are not doing what is not right. What we are saying is it should come to the stool and talk to the youth, because you cannot demolish some people's property like that. At least there must be a misunderstanding. They should come to the stool, or they should come to the owners to talk to us. Because if I've given some property to someone here, how can you come there and you demolish? See the money they have destroying. If you said you are you are in good governance, this is not what you're supposed to do.
I have a party here.
Has it been pulled down?
Oh yes. I have a buildings here that they have pulled them down. I have a palace that I'm building that they have pulled it down.
But as a chief, why would you build on the Ramsar site?
When you see, this is where I get problem with you people. When they say Ramsar site, I don't understand it.
They say this is a Ramsar site.
MF Junction. Come to here, all is Ramsar site. But
not?
It's Ramsar site. But they give to MF Estate, he built on it. They give to Celebrity Golf, and he has built estate on it. They give to Bonavista, and he has built. Isn't that place is not Ramsar site? That place is not Ramsar site.
It's Rapture site.
So you want them to pull those buildings down?
Put that buildings down. They should put that buildings down so that you know that they have taken the Ramsar site.
Meanwhile, Director General of NADMO, Joseph Bikanye-Kuyon, who was part of the task force, said the exercise will continue regardless of the opposition from the resident. Dr. Kuyon, who briefly engaged the disgruntled resident, said the exercise was legitimate and part of efforts to protect the ecological integrity of the Ramsar site, which serves as a crucial habitat for wildlife and natural buffer against flooding.
Our brothers and sisters who find themselves in this situation, maybe it's not their fault, but they have found themselves in a situation that we need to sacrifice their interests for the interest of the nation. That's what we are asking them. Like I'm talking to them. They are my children too. I have children like them. So I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm only here to ensure that the law takes its course.
That means that the demolition exercise will go on regardless of what happens.
Demolition exercise, I want to assure you, is not only here. After this Sakumono site, we are going to Klagon. We go to Adenta, Abuk, so many places. It's nationwide. And there is a program. The president has a vision why we are doing this. It's not just for demolition's sake. After that, this site will be turned to something that the people themselves who are agitating today we'll be happy that we did what we are doing.
For the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Linda Oklu described the exercise as a success, vowing to continue tomorrow despite the resistance from the locals.
Not done with the demolition. I mean, there are a lot of houses that we have to pull it down. And so we'll be coming back.
We saw fierce resistance from the people. Would you say that today's day has been a failure?
It hasn't. I mean, this is not the first time we started this. I mean, we've seen all that. And so this is not something that will scare anybody. It hasn't been, I mean, the day has been successful. So.
Is that not what pushed you to close prematurely?
Oh, no, because the reason why we closed so early was that, we were using, instead of using 2 machines, it came with 1. And so we don't want to overwork the equipment. And so that was, we decided to close by. I mean, look at the military we came with and the police. Do you think, I mean, we are scared of them? I don't think so.
Now, a heavy downpour in the West district of the Upper West region has brought life to a standstill. 3 major bridges between Veripere and Vieri have collapsed, cutting off several communities and disrupting access to education, healthcare and local trade. Rafiq Salam reports.
The West district is one of the poorest districts in the Upper West region, facing multidimensional poverty challenges. Key among the challenges is the deplorable nature of their roads, which has negative impact on the lives of the people and the development of the district at large. Adding to the woes of the people is the heavy downpour about a week ago that washed off portions of the roads and collapsed bridges, making it unmotorable. The worst affected area being the Veripere road that has portions of the road washed off and 3 major bridges total collapsed by the violent flash floods. Several communities have been cut off from the district capital, which are thereby having a negative impact on the economic livelihoods of the people. Abdul Salam Isaac is a student at SDD Showbiz, and he spoke of the frustration commuters go through as a result of the collapsed bridges.
The very first day that this thing happened, when I was going to work and I got to realize that it was happening, I couldn't go. And that day too, due to that, I couldn't attend my lectures. I'm a student at the SD Dumbo University. So I have to return and then go back to Uchao. So this road, because of this nature at the moment, is affecting both our academic activities, those of us studying in Wa, affecting teachers that are teaching around Veripere. It's also affecting even our farm product and traders who are buying from Wa to Uchao.
Though a bypass has been created as a temporary measure, which middle-aged woman is grateful for the West District Assembly and the Field Roads Department, she however wants a more permanent solution to ease the worries of market and pregnant women for business and healthcare services.
We have to take detour into the bush to enable us move from one end to the other. We have pregnant women and women who attend antenatal services. We need the help of the government.
West District Chief Executive Richard Wulu asserted that the collapsed bridges were constructed over 60 years ago and had visible signs of collapsing before the heavy downpour.
With the collapse of this bridge, it means that they are completely cut off. If they will go, they may have to go through Ga or Durmo, which is a long way, and that will affect their packets as well. So I'm thinking that if something is done immediately about this bridge, it will help us a lot.
Richard Wulu disclosed that the Federal Roads Department has done assessment of the situation and has promised fixing it within 2 months.
Yes, exactly. The feeder roads people came here and did the assessments. They've sent in their request to the national, and they are assuring me that within the next 2 months or so, the bridge will be fixed.
The only route for survival for the people in the enclave is the bypass created as a temporary measure. They can only hope the intensity of the rains are reduced. If not, they will be unmotorable, meaning work done will be equal to 0. Reporting for J News, Rafiq Salam, Veripere.
Well, 2 people have drowned in the Black Volta while returning from a funeral in Burkina Faso. The boat capsized, prompting a search by local divers. There's more in this following report by Rafiq Salam once again.
In neighboring Burkina Faso, when the boat capsized few meters away from their place of disembarkment, their 30-year-old Tachi Patrick and middle-aged Cynthia. Wawa's district chief executive Richard Wulo revealed that the duo were on the boat with 2 others, including a 3-year-old baby who was miraculously saved from drowning by the operator of the boat, who is of Burkinabe extraction. A search party consisting of local divers, after 2 days, found Cynthia at Tole, which lies several kilometers away from the scene of the disaster. The incident has thrown the Bankoma community into a state of confusion and mourning.
I had a call that some people got drowned in the Black Volta around Bankoma in the Wa West district. So the following day, that was on Monday, we were there. These were people that attended a funeral in Burkina Faso. After the funeral, they were returning to Ghana. And on crossing the Black Volta, the boat capsized, and then 2 of them got drowned, a man and a woman. So currently, as we speak, only the woman has been retrieved around a community called Tule. For the man is still missing and the search team is still on.
The incident has thrown the Bankoma community into a state of confusion and mourning. Richard Wulo asserted that he has met with some security stakeholders in the district to find lasting solution to these disasters that normally occurs during the peak rainy season when the water level on the Black Volta is high.
I invited the NADMO, the district NADMO director was there. The regional NADMO also came in, and they assured us that they will provide some life jackets so that we'll use it as safety measures for people who always want to cross over to the other side.
The Wobbles District Chief Executive expressed worry about the age group of people manning the operations of the boats, adding that there is a need for sensitization coupled with stringent punitive measures to ward off children from the operation of the boats.
I noticed that minors were using the canoes, and I think that is quite unfortunate. So I advise that we can put in some basic regulations as regards to water transportation so that we save their lives. I realized that some children as low as between 9 to 10 years were using the canoes, and I think that that is not allowed. So I think that if we have to all come together in collaboration with NADMO so that we can sensitize communities around those areas living closer to the Black Volta to put in some safety measures to avoid some of these occurrences.
The incident is coming on the heels of the Dekwebo disaster that claimed the lives of 7 students of Laura Senior High School, who the region is yet to recover from. Reporting for Day News, Rafiq Salam, Bankama.
Well, alarming new data reveals bullying in Ghana's senior high schools is escalating with devastating consequences, including shattered mental health, collapsing academic performance, and tragically even student death. But in a groundbreaking response, school authorities at the Techiman, SHS, and the African Health Promotion Organization have launched a student-led war on bullying, a peer-to-peer mental health initiative training learners to spot abuse, support victims, and build bullying-free zones. Anna Sabit has more in the following report.
Subjected to bullying as a first-year student. When I came to school, I had a flap that was different from all the ones that my seniors wore. So one day, a senior approached me and said, "Do you know that the flap you are wearing is unprescribed and that you're not supposed to use it in the school?" And I was like, "No, please." So she made me to remove the flap and give it to her. So she made me walk barefooted. She made me to go and scrub the bathhouse barefooted. So that day I felt very bad. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't learn. I cried.
These raw accounts from Techiman Senior High School students highlight a disturbing national trend. But today, a beacon of hope emerged. The Techiman Senior High School is partnering with the Africa Health Promotion Organization to launch a powerful new weapon, the Bullying Prevention and Mental Health Promotion Initiative.
The main initiative is to ensure zero tolerance in bullying across our senior high schools. And we are doing this in 12 schools at the proof of concept stage.
This isn't just another assembly. This is learning by doing, a peer-led mental health education program. The core idea is simply to empower these students themselves to lead the change. Kisses Johnson Ahoto is the executive director of the Africa Health Promotion Organization.
We are running this through the peer-led. Back in the structure, we used to have an expert-led initiative where we bring in experts to interact with the student and they leave. Sustainability is a problem, and this is why the new initiative is targeting students. And so we are using the main teachers as their mentors. We have built their capacity, and we have selected a minimum of about 30 students who serve as peer educators, whose capacity have been built, and they will go ahead to provide this impact initiative to the students.
The initiative received a strong backing from the Regional Education Directorate. Head of Inspectorate at the Regional Education Office, who spoke on behalf of the Education Director, Mr. Solomon Jabbar, underscored its critical link to education itself.
We are taking recognition from the effect that bullying caused to most of our students.
Imagine getting a second shot at glory and still watching it slip away. That was the heartbreaking reality for Bator Senior High School in the Volta regional qualifiers of the National Science and Maths Quiz. After falling short in their first contest, they were handed a rare lifeline due to the absence of two schools. But Hohoe EP SHS had other plans, dashing their hopes in a commanding win. My colleague Adobe Asari has more in the following report. And we'll bring that story after this quick turn. And it's time for Showbiz. Becky joins me in the studio. Lady in red.
Hello to you, Fosti.
Oh, isn't she pretty?
Thank you so much. Let's talk about my sector. Yes, the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts has inaugurated a reconstituted 10-member focal team to reinstitute to spearhead Ghana's efforts to retrieve looted cultural artifacts from foreign museums and private collections. The initiative forms part of a broader national campaign to reclaim Ghana's stolen heritage and restore pride in cultural identity. Sector Minister Jifa Abla-Gomashi, speaking at the inauguration, reaffirmed government's unwavering support for reinstitution efforts, describing it as a moral and historical responsibility.
Are not just symbols of our past. They are vessels of identity, memory, and pride. Their absence has left a painful void in our historical narrative and in the soul of our nation. In recent years, we have seen a global awakening, an acknowledgement that the legacy of colonialism must be addressed not with words, but with action. The restitution of looted cultural property is a vital part of that process. Ladies and gentlemen, this reconstituted focal team is tasked with a noble and complex mission to lead Ghana's effort in identifying, documenting, negotiating, and securing the return of our cultural treasures, and to ensure fair reparative justice for wrongs done.
Our sector minister, Honorable Abla Gomashi, there. Fosti, over the weekend, I was at the launch for ASO. That's Kwabena Kwabena's first album. He launched it. He's having a whole celebration for it later this year. He's going to be putting together a concert, and we're going to celebrate High Life to the max. So I, spoke to him and others who were present at the event who had so many beautiful things to say about the legacy of Kwabena.
I recall having a conversation with you, and you were telling me about the big celebration. Today we're here. Break it down for us a little bit. And what are we expecting? 20 years of ASO, 20 years of quality music, 20 years of highlight music.
Exactly.
Tell me all about it.
We give glory to God. We cannot be thankful enough. We cannot be thankful enough. It's been a beautiful journey. The ups and downs. I mean, putting everything together. God has been so good to us. 20 years on, and this particular song ASO plays, and people come to the dance floor, jam to it like it was recorded yesterday.
Of course, we cannot be celebrating 20 years without having the people who have been a part of the brand ASO, the brand Kwabna passing through, sharing their tidbits about, you know, the influence that this guy Kwabna has had on their brands. I'm sure that you have a story, your own story. What can you tell us about the man Kwabna?
I think he's a father figure to me. You know, for him to actually bless me on a record, my biggest record, would forever be my story. If I'm no more, definitely he will still be my story. You know, and I must say that ASO actually has birthed so much of a new talent right now. Looking at, I actually took an idea of Atia from ASO. Because then I was trying to find how to make the word Atia pleasing. Because you know that our female sling one didn't like it. And then he also tried to make a very danceable song, appealing to the public, but he's talking about broken heart. You know, and so sometimes you jump to the song and forgetting the content of the song. So for me, Kwabna is a legend, and he will forever be a phase of my life like now. We're all learning from him. We pray that everything that he has said to God's ears should be answered. 20 years, I'm sure that 20 years more we'll be here and they will celebrate this record.
They took Kwabna to get you out here.
Yeah.
I mean, 20 years of ASO, 20 years of celebrating Kwabna.
Yeah.
What can you say about this brand?
Okay, so there's a reason why I'm here today, but we all came the same year. Also, we're music classmates. We started the same year from the same studio, and we did a lot of tours, both in Ghana and abroad and Europe, everywhere together. So Kwabna is like a bona fide brother in the music, and at the same time like a close friend. So I'm here. I'm happy for him. Well, ASO is we all know how ASO has done over the years. Like, it's stood the test of time for 20 years, and the song still resonates. It means he's done something very well on that song, and kudos to Kwabna and his team.
Kwabna branded away, but he's branding himself very well. I mean, looking at his background, he attended Kotia Secondary State, so he's well versed in the industry. I mean, proud to him releasing his maiden song. He has been in the studios, you know, backing a lot of people in terms of providing harmony for other people. So after 20 years, you know, because of how solid that music was produced, the way a lot of people have used it to celebrate their lives. I mean, it is time for celebration that after 20 years, you know, you can really feel that the music is still making impact. Those of the live band stages, when you go there, they play that kind of song. Because of the lyrical content, what is embedded in the song. And then the kind of quality that Kwabna.
Well, Freddie J ending that for Showbiz. But firstly, I know that you're going to tell us all about what's happening with NSMQ.
Indeed.
I know that they are in the Volta region. Volta region is not my hometown, but I grew up there. Sunrise Christian High School, even though didn't make it to the regionals.
You know.
I know that Hohwe EP did. Indeed. And also Bator Senior High School did. What happened to them?
Well, shockingly, Bator Senior High School had like a second lifeline. They had the opportunity to win this because two schools did not show up for the contest. Unfortunately, they still lost. Well, Adobe Asari has all the rap for us.
I'm sorry for Bator.
I don't know what to say. I'm speechless. Like, I don't know.
Day
2 of the 2025 National Science and Maths Quiz Volta Regional Qualifiers was intense and electrifying. In contest 1, St. Paul Senior High and Minor Seminary met with Bator Senior High and Agotime. It was an easy win for St. Paul's as they dominated in all 4 rounds and finally won with 57 points. In contest 2, where Chito SHTS, Peki SHS and St. Catherine Senior High